everybody, it's your boy Marcus Norman from Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and today we have Captain Rob Kessler. He's a 50-ton master captain, as well as the inventor and co-founder of $1 Million Collar. And he is relatively simple solution is a fix to what his company dubs placket tis, and the sinking, wrinkling, and folding of placket of a casually worn dress shirt. So I'll show you pictures of this as we get into this. But basically, your collar, when it wrinkles, that's what it's known as. And this man invented the tool that is going to change your life and take your collar game up to the next level. So help me welcome to the stage, Mr. Rob Kessler. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Rob. This is incredible. Thank you for joining the Gentleman Style Podcast stage.
Absolutely, Marcus. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited to have you, sir. This is huge. This is phenomenal. Sir, first off, I like to ask every successful entrepreneur, what is one morning routine that you have that really sets the tone for the rest of your day? What's a successful habit that you have in the morning that really sets the rest of your day up for success?
I tend to write down goals for the day, not even just for the day. It's like, here's where I want to be in 5 years or 10 years. And I write them down as if I'd already accomplished that. I own this, I do that. We've done this, we've gone there. And I like to take a shower. I don't know what it is about, I can shower at night before I go to bed, but in the morning to start my day, I have to take a shower, just feel fresh, clean, get dressed, and then go, knock out a day. And usually it's walking down a flight of stairs to my office and then spending the whole day in this room. But it's something about putting on taking a shower and getting done up and get ready just makes it feel like a real day.
Absolutely. So there you have it, y'all. That's a successful habit that successful people do. Shower, wash your butt, right? Wash yourself, get clean, take care of yourself, but also planning out his day. You see the mindset. That's the mindset shift that we all need to make within our own selves to get on a better day. And he like he said, he plans it out as if he's already accomplished it because he knows he's going to crush it. So that's huge. Very huge. So Mr. Kessler, diving right in, what made you come up with the $1 Million Collar? Where did that spark from? What were you noticing a trend in the industry?
Right here, my wedding. So that's an actual photo from my wedding day. This is before my wife even said I do in a brand new, freshly pressed shirt. We got married in the beaches of Jamaica. So my feet were in the sand, my toes were in the sand, my pants were rolled up, no tie, casual wedding. And my shirt just looked terrible. It was brand new. And I just was adjusting it all day long. And I just hated the way it looked. So I've never really liked wearing ties. I think it was car salesman days. But I literally have worn a tie once in probably the last 12 years. And it was because I went to Magic Castle in LA and they require a tie. But so I really hated the way my shirt looked on my wedding day. I came home from Jamaica. I Googled everything I could find. There was nothing out there that fixed placketitis, which is, so this part of the shirt is called the placket. Yeah, I know it's funny when you see it for the first time. But the part with the buttons and the holes, the opening that makes it possible to put the shirt on is called the placket. And that part doesn't have enough structure because dress shirts were designed to be buttoned all the way up and worn with a tie. So in the last 10 or 15 years, ties have really gone to the wayside, but dress shirts have never caught up to that trend. So I thought that this part of the shirt needed structure. So just like a collar stay, I made it 9 inches long. It goes down the front of the shirt. It gets sewn in once. And once it's in the shirt, it lasts the life of the shirt. So it's an easy alteration. And once it's in, it looks great. I actually haven't worn this shirt in a while, like 2 years, I think. We just moved. I just found it in my closet. And I'm like, oh, this is a $15 H&M shirt. It looks amazing. And it'll sit like this all day long. So
no matter what you do. So that's huge, right? That's huge. That's major level thinking. And so this collar, what you said your wedding inspired you, and that's a huge day. That's a big day. That's your important day, right? And so how many men are suffering from the same problem in the industry that you've seen? What's the trend that you're seeing?
Well, 1 billion shirts were sold in the US in 2019. So there's, and I think most guys are going to hold on to a shirt for 3 to 5 years, 6 to 7 years, maybe. So you're looking at 5 billion shirts that are hanging in closets that we're going after those guys. We're in about 650 dry cleaners and tailors right now. So you can just walk right into any one of those locations. They already know what to do. They can sew it in and get it done for you. A lot of them will do the first one for free. And then we are talking to all the manufacturers about getting this in at production. So you can just buy a shirt with it already installed. So one of the images you clicked on earlier, I think, was our Ralph Lauren collection. We just got in 6 or 7 different Ralph Lauren shirts that all have $1 million. We buy the shirts wholesale. We upgrade them with $1 million collar, and you can just buy them, all done, ready to go. Brands you already know and love. So we have Calvin Klein, Van Heusen, Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren. We have our own brand, which is called Go Tyless. And then if you're a big and tall, actually just a tall guy, tall athletic shirts are William Mahoney. That's this one. Really, really awesome, soft shirts, but for tall guys. He's like 6'8" or something. So he made these tall athletic shirts.
And so your private brand of shirts, they already have the device already inserted in them?
Well, all the shirts that we carry, and we do have a few of our own shirts called Go Tyless that we tried to design. It's a very, very tough thing. I mean, we've come up with the technology, we've understood that, and trying to make a shirt, there's so many thousands of minute little variables. It's really overwhelming, which is why we didn't start off with a shirt. We started off with this aftermarket kit that you can add to any shirt. Because people get really personal with the clothing they have. If you like your Ralph Lauren shirts, I know how I fit in an H&M shirt. I know how I fit in a Ralph shirt. I know how I fit in certain shirts. It's just easier to say, hey, take the shirt you already know and go have this sewn in. It costs you $10 and it looks great forever. So.
Absolutely. What are some difficulties that you had to overcome in getting the patent? Because were you the first to market with this, or were there some competition already?
So the patent it's got to be individual and unique. It can't be something that's already out there. So, I'm first to market. There has been other variations of things that maybe could possibly work that I didn't think would work. And that's why I got the patent the way I did. Biggest challenge is paying for it. We've spent over six figures on this. So it's insanely expensive, and every year longer that you have it, the fees to maintain it increase each year. So, those fidget spinners that came out, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, it's $1 billion industry. A lady in Florida invented that for her autistic son. She patented it. She couldn't afford to maintain it, lost the patent, and someone came in, swooped it, and turned it into what it was. And she got nothing.
So that's something that's unique, right? That's something that people don't think about. Yeah, I got the patent because the patents are good for how long? How long is a patent typically?
I have a 15-year patent, a utility patent. So it's 15 years. But every single year there's a bill due. And if you go international, each one of those countries has its own set of fees that are due every single year. And it gets real expensive real fast.
Wow. Give him a round of applause, y'all. That's huge. Mr. Kessler is dropping nuggets right here. He's dropping jewels. And this is important, right? This is what helps us get to a better place and do better business. We have one quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Don't you guys go anywhere. We got Mr. Rob Kessler coming back to the stage. See you guys soon. Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels. Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level, Duke Duchess, which is our season level, and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye. Hey guys, we are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage, and we have Mr. Rob Kessler, CEO, co-founder of $1 Million Collar, and he is here to the stage, and he's helping us do better business, and he's talking about and sharing some of the nuggets and the things that he had to overcome and the obstacles he had to face when building his company and taking it to the next level through patents and some of the things that I didn't know and we need to be aware of in order to do better business. Mr. Kessler, you mentioned this earlier. You said you haven't worn a tie in years, in probably decades. Why do you hate ties so much?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Whoop. You're muted. You there? Oh, we're troubleshooting, y'all.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There we go.
Good.
Perfect. My question was technical difficulties, y'all. This is a live show, so it happens, and we grow with it and we bounce back. So, Mr. Kessler, tell us. My question earlier was, you said it earlier that you didn't wear ties for several years. Why do you hate ties so much?
Like I said, I think it's in my car salesman days, they forced me to throw a tie on. I was 23 years old or something, and it was just like, it wouldn't even match. You just throw a tie on because you had to wear one for the day. And I always thought that if you give me 5 minutes to talk, you'll respect me for who I am. And the tie doesn't give me any respect that I should deserve. I will give that. I'll prove that I earn that respect. And, you look at now today, who wears ties? It's, attorneys and politicians and, not the most respected crowd out there. So it's just not really my style, man. I just can always find a way not to wear a tie. So if I had to shove one on, I did wear one for one of my best friend's weddings. Obviously I wore a tie for that, but going to Magic Castle, it was worth it though. That's an invite only joint. You got to go in there and check it out. So that was fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You gotta kill it. You gotta get in there and you gotta kill it. You gotta really show off and you really gotta get in there and showboat there. So, Mr. Keller, one of the things that you took this company from scratch. You built this company. This is your babe. You co-founded it with some partners. What advice would you give someone who's considering getting into business or starting a business? What advice would you recommend to that person?
The biggest thing is it's going to take a lot longer than you think. I was married in 2013, early 2013. We started that patent process then. We started selling in January of 2016. So now we're 5 years into sales, and it's going, but it's certainly not, funding the dream boat and the things that I really, really want to do. As many people as I talk to that say, dude, this should be in every shirt. This is the greatest thing ever. I won't wear a shirt without it. And how much positive feedback we get from it. In the industry, those guys are so old school and so unwilling to change that it's just like beating your head against the wall to try to get these guys to just listen and pay a little bit of attention. I mean, we reached out to Men's Warehouse. I've got connections to get pretty high up in there. They're plummeting right now. I've got a product that actually get people to walk in the front door of your store while foot traffic is down across the board. I can actually get people in your front door and they're just like, I don't know if it's for us. I'm like, you have dress shirts, you have tailors in every location, you do sales, this is a no-brainer. And it was just that and hearing no, 1,000 times a week gets old, but you just have to keep grinding. I mean, the guys that give up are not the ones that change an industry. And I think this could be like the next collar stay. There really hasn't been a major innovation in dress shirts since non-iron in the 1950s. So I mean, collar stays came out in the 1800s. So it's been a long time since there's been a major shift. And, you can still button all the way up and wear a tie if you want. Actually, a lot of tie guys love it because they don't get the gap between the first and second button. You go out to happy hour, you pop the tie off, you look amazing. There's really no reason it shouldn't be in every single shirt. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Absolutely. I hate ties. I hate bow ties. I hate ties. I wear them just like you said if the occasion requires it. But I'm with you. If I can open up and get some fresh air going, I'm with you. So this is a no-brainer, and it's crazy that Men's Warehouse wouldn't. It lines everything up. All they sell is dress shirts.
Yeah, and they're all about their upsells. I'm like, look, you could sell this $40 shirt and sell $1 million collar for $10 extra while they're checking out. It's so quick, the tailor could knock it out while they're checking out. I mean, you've been to Men's Warehouse. It takes like 20 minutes to pay. They can go back and do 2 or 3 shirts in the time it takes to do that, and then come out and be like, here you go, and now they get the greatest shirt ever. So, we'll keep going, we'll keep trying. We were really close to a deal with Express Men's. They did 30 million dress shirts a year. They were going to do a huge test, and then COVID hit, and right before COVID, found out that the owner of all of that was like BFFs with Jeffrey Epstein. So it was a lot of distractions happening over there, and kind of got shoved under the rug a little bit, and it just was like the perfect storm of the 3 worst things that could possibly happen all at once, and that's what it was. We were like this close to the game-changing deal, so we'll keep going.
Yes, sir. There'll be more. There'll be plenty more. What was the pivot? You mentioned COVID, right? COVID affected last year, 2020 was a dumpster fire, right? What was the pivot for you and your companies to survive and ride this out?
So we were actually just launching our dress shirts. We got them in like October or November. So we did a little bit of ads before Christmas, which are insanely expensive because everybody's trying to do them at that point. And then COVID hit and everybody pulled out of advertising. So we were actually getting like 3 times our dollars worth. And we went full steam ahead and sold through like 80% of our dress shirts in the first 3 months of the year during COVID, which was amazing, except once people figured out what was happening, everyone that did anything in clothing was making masks. And so we couldn't get another shirt made. I was scrambling. I was like trying to make these back alley deals to get some shirts done, and they turned out not so great. So we couldn't even sell the stuff that we did get done. And so we lost all of that momentum, which was really devastating. So while that was kind of simmering down, $1 Million Collar's been taking off, and it's been cool to kind of have 2 different angles. And then even within $1 Million Collar, we have all those other brands that we sell. We have a concierge service you can mail in. We just sold one of those packs today. We'll mail you a bag, and then you just ship us the shirts. We'll upgrade them and send them back to you. But really the easiest way is to just go on our map or go to a local dry cleaner or tailor and say, hey, do you do alterations? Yes. 3 easy steps. Can you do this for me? Watch this video. We have everything figured out. So it's really easy for anybody to do it.
So you streamline the process. All someone has to do is go into a local tailor in the community, and the tailor will do the installation of the $1 Million Collar, and they'll put it in.
Yeah, every order comes with the 3-step instructions, and then there's a little note to go to our website, and there's a 3-minute video of me showing how to do the installation. It's so easy. I taught myself how to sew. I mean, the only thing that's easier is like putting a button back on a dress shirt. But other than that, it is literally open a couple stitches, slide it in, sew it back together. It takes less than 5 minutes to do. It's so easy. And so the biggest thing is how you ask the question. A lot of people go in and say, do you do $1 Million Collar? And we're like, I wish I was that well known, but we're not. So you say, do you do alterations? Yes. Here are the 3 steps. Can you do this for me? Watch this video. It's really easy. And they should charge you around $10 a shirt to do it. So it's good to give that revenue to them. It gets your shirt done. I mean, even this $15 H&M shirt, if I invest my $12 into this or $10 into it, I've got a $25 shirt that looks better than $100 shirts, and I can get 4 of these for what you pay for one $100 shirt. Wear these a few times, cycle them out, and go get another one. I mean, who cares?
That's easy math. Give them a round of applause, y'all. This is huge. right? This is life changing. And so, as a gentleman, right, this show is called Gentleman Style Podcast. And so, that's why I had to get Mr. Kessler on the show. This is what gentlemen do, right? We go sharp. We have functions. We got closings. And so, yes, the investment, the $10 investment, the $40 investment on the shirt, and to get the installation done is worth. If you're going to close on that deal, you got that next big contract. My real estate agents, right? Real estate folks. How many closings are you missing out? How many deals are you missing out because your collar's all jacked up? Think about it. Right?
Well, once you see this, you can never unsee it. You're going to see every shirt that doesn't look like this. You're going to be like, oh, dang, he's right, man. I cannot unsee shirts that look sloppy. Every shirt's going to look sloppy outside of this one.
Absolutely. You'll never be the same again. And that's the important piece there. So, Mr. Kessler, you mentioned earlier that you're a multi-talented entrepreneur. You've bought businesses, started businesses, and also sold businesses. Can you talk a little bit about what that felt like and what the experience was with that from my audience?
So I've really just followed my passions. So I got into real estate. So I originally was going to be an architect when I went to college. And I just so happened to be in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which had the second highest rated architecture school in the country, which means it's insanely competitive. And I am not a school kid. So you need like a 3.8 average to even be considered in this program. And I ended up talking to my dad's architect, and he said, long hours, high stress, low pay, don't do it. I was like, okay, I'm out. So I ended up getting into real estate after college, which gave me the opportunity to see all the construction. I mean, on the east side of Milwaukee, all those houses are built in the 1920s. So you have this amazing woodwork, and I really respected what they were building. So I got to see all these great houses. I'm good at sales, and I had a lot of friends and connections. So I just got into real estate. I enjoyed that residential, and went into commercial. The first house I bought was a duplex, so my tenants would pay the mortgage and I just had to pay the maintenance and the taxes. We went from that building to my wife moved in once, we started dating. Right before we got married, we bought a 6,000 square foot commercial building. It was a couple blocks away. We gutted that, renovated it. We moved my business out of the basement, my screen printing business, and built her a gym. And so we had half of that building, and then we rented out the other half, and those people paid for the mortgage to hold that whole place. And then we left Milwaukee and moved to LA, and I was just dabbling in real estate, and I just wanted to stay fresh with the numbers. Right. And so I found a building in Green Bay, a 16,000 square foot building, all brick, right by the Green Bay Packers. And we renovated that, bought it, renovated it, sold it 13 months later for a pretty big profit. I've got into boating. I've always really liked being on the water. So we got a boat, built a yacht charter business, and we are just in the process of selling that right now. We're in escrow and should be closing on that in the next 30 days. So, the last two businesses we've sold now for a little over $1.5 million. And it's just been fun to take it from nothing to take an idea and just hammer down on it. And I'll tell you, if it wasn't for my wife, we wouldn't have either of those things. I'm great at coming up with the idea, finding the niche, finding the concept, and she is like, make it happen, put it to work. And she's very, very organized. She's very disciplined, and she'll just hammer on it day and day and day and day and make sure that it all runs the way that my mind thinks that it should go. So it's been a good partnership.
Absolutely. That's execution right there, y'all. That's execution. Kudos to you and the missus. That's big, right? And so the reason why I wanted you to bring that up is because a lot of people get started in businesses and think like, oh, well, I'm going to just hold it forever. Not all businesses, right? Not all businesses are some are seasonal, some are just temporary, right? Because sometimes if you start a business during a trend, when that trend is over, maybe it's time. Maybe the pivot is to sell, right? Get out while the getting's good. And it not necessarily because those businesses are failing, but one of the biggest things in real estate, a lot of people buy real estate and then they try and like, oh, I'm gonna leave these to the kids. Well, 90% of the time, the kids don't even want the house. Yeah. So would you be better served leaving the real estate or the cash, right? They're going to sell the house anyway. So just give them the cash and leave them the money that way. And so that's why I wanted you to talk about that cycle of buying, right? And getting into business, but also having an open mind to selling, right? And getting out while the getting is good.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to have an exit strategy. I mean, my wife, when we got together, she's always been into fitness. And I said, people will constantly, she's got 6-pack abs. She's absolutely shredded. But people are like, hey, how do I get 6-pack? How do I do this? How do I do that? I'm like, well, if you love it, just do it. So she got certified while she was working at her day job. She started training people after work in the park by our house in March. And by September, she quit her very, very lucrative corporate job that flew her first class all around the world and 5-star restaurants and hotels and all that. She quit that to train full time. We built her that gym, but she didn't have an exit strategy really. It was all built around her. And sometimes that's what it is. But I'll tell you the advice that I got from my dad, which he didn't follow, is never, ever, ever use your name in the business, because Rob's charter business has a hard time getting transferred to Mike when not, it's like, hey, Rob's charter business is Mike speaking. There's a little bit of an ego that goes into putting your name in the business. I've had a half a dozen businesses that I've started and other ones that haven't gone anywhere. My name's never, ever been in them. Go Tylus can be sold. $1 Million Collar can be sold. Bella Boating is being sold. Our commercial buildings had their own names. Those were sold. It's just really hard to transition. And it's really small. Like if you use a town name, it's Green Bay this. Well, Green Bay is not that big, but if you get big and then you expand, all of a sudden you're in Milwaukee. I'm not calling Green Bay this for something in Milwaukee. That just doesn't make sense. So get creative. I mean, there's always a name out there. $1 Million Collar just came to me. It just flows. My clothing company before was called Nude, N-E-W-D, which stood for Nothing Else Will Do. So I had nude clothing. You just get creative, man. I would rather you spend $1,000 and call a bunch of friends and start talking about names than just call it, Mike's plumbing business.
Mike's hardware.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And there's a real estate company that's going through that experience now. They've expanded so much. They're in North Carolina and Virginia, where I live, and then they're trying to push up to DC. And the problem she's having now, she's franchised now. And the problem is she's trying to sell. Well, the name of her real estate company is her name. Yeah. And so she has to now take all these offices, all these locations, all this branding, all this material, and now change the name. And
that's a hard thing.
That's huge. And that's expensive.
When you establish yourself as something and then you want to change the name and then still let people know that those are the same without them being the same. I mean, it's tough. You got to dream big, man. Dream big.
Absolutely.
Dream that you're going to be there. And then that means your name better not be in the name.
Absolutely. We have a question from one of our VIP sponsors, and Miss Patience Dean. She asks, what would you recommend for someone with a patent pending? What's the best way to find a distributor?
I think it depends on the industry, but if you're patent pending, the beauty is, I think in 2010 or 9 or somewhere in there, it went from, I can prove that I came up with this idea before you did, to first to file, put your money where your mouth is. So you're in line, you're ahead of anybody else that would come in and try to mess with your patent. So you're protected. At patent pending, you're in a good place. So you can go out and start talking and having those conversations. What's the name? There's a book. I'll find this book while we're talking. That's all about, he's like, don't even patent, just sell the idea before it's even, and he just like files the provisionals and sells these ideas. So here, let me look it up. It is, I think it's One Simple Idea, but I'll have to check.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great question, Patience Dean. Mr. Kessler is going to come right back. We got one more commercial, and that way we will come right back to your questions. So stay tuned, stay with us, stay engaged. Don't go anywhere. This is Rob Kessler, and we are talking about patents, small business, and doing better business. Stay tuned.
I'm Marcus Norman, bringing fresh vibes to hot topics surrounding culture, relationships, business, finance, sex, dating, faith, and everything in between. Whether you're into passive income opportunities, trending topics and useful relationship tips, or dynamic guest speakers, there's something for everyone. You can expect all that and more every week. If you're down with this content, then consider joining our growing community by subscribing to Gentleman Style Podcast and smash the bell to get on our VIP list. Your support means the world. Thanks for watching. Link to my channel.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. We have the incredible, amazing, super fragilistic, expialidocious Mr. Rob Kessler, and he had a great question from our VIP sponsor, Miss Patience Dean, earlier on the show. And so he broke it down, y'all. And so her question is, what would you recommend for someone with a patent pending? What's the best way to find a distributor?
Yeah, and that book is One Simple Idea. It's by Stephen Key. I think the big thing is just you build a one-sheeter. So real quick, just hit the highlights and then make sure it says patent pending on it, that you're in that process so they know that they can't just start messing around. I mean, a lot of these companies have development arms, but sometimes it's just easier to take your idea and run with it than it is to get them to start. I remember we went into Proper Cloth, which is a big online retailer, which we thought, oh, this is going to be great. They're selling all their stuff online. They can just make a radio button, add $1 million collar, sell a shirt for $10 more. We walked into their office in New York and their product development guy kicked us out. I'm working on something that's the same. Like, yeah, you are not. 5 years later, they still don't have anything. So it's like, if it's a smart company, they know they can just grab your idea, pay you a little bit, and then keep going. And they have the distribution channel. So just be careful. You don't be afraid, or don't think that you have to take the first deal you get. I mean, they're going to try to get as much out of you as possible, especially being a new inventor. We signed an exclusivity deal I wish we hadn't. There's just stuff like that they're going to try to get you into. And just be careful about it. But if you want to email me, I'd be happy to help you as you go through the process.
Absolutely. I hope that answered your questions, Ms. Patience. That's powerful, right? And that's huge. And what I heard in there is like, don't give up, right? Don't give up. There are companies that they're going to knock your idea down. They're going to knock your invention down, and they're going to pretend like this isn't, oh, we're close. We're doing something similar. No, we don't want it. So that's huge, right? And so don't give up. Find a distributor. Someone is going to buy. And like you said, don't take the first offer. Don't take the first deal, because they're probably going to undercut you, just like real estate.
You could we got a great deal out of the bat. We were in the #1 distributor of dry cleaner products. 80% of the 40,000 dry cleaners ordered something from them in the last 15 months. So we got in, they locked us into an exclusivity. Just know that everything is negotiable. They are going to say, well, if you want to work with us, we got to do da, 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 da. And you'll be like, well, if you want to work with me, you got to get rid of this, and this, because I'm talking to da, 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 da also. So
strategy. Y'all see the big level thinking right there? That's huge.
It's hard. It's hard when you're brand new and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be the greatest thing. I just need anything to get moving. But, sometimes you just got to stay strong, but it'll work out.
It absolutely will. Mr. Kessler, do you have any other inventions coming down the pipeline? And I know you got to kind of be careful with that, but any blockbusters, any ideas or fresh ideas you got coming down the pipeline you're working on?
I have ideas. Yeah. I've got this boating one that I would really love to do, but it's going to take some serious dollars to make happen. So I do want to file the provisional and kind of get that process started soon. I've come up with a bunch of ideas, over the years, some good, some bad, but I'm always thinking, I sit in the car and I'm like, why is this button here? This should be over here. Why is this here? That's just how my mind works. We just bought a house and I'm like, who did this? Why would you think that this is a good idea? And it's just, I can't help myself. Like, now I got to fix all this stuff. Knucklehead built this house weird.
Well, you have a beautiful house. From what I can see, that's a beautiful house. You got incredible pictures on the wall, and that's amazing, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be and that's what we have to be careful, right? Because he has to file a patent, then he can talk about it more, y'all. So he's being very, very wise and careful. But that's what inventors do, right? They're constantly thinking. He is the next Tesla. He's the next Nikolai Tesla, right? He's inventing, and that's one of the things that a lot of people don't think about in business. And that's what messed up a lot of inventors is not protecting their ideas. That, what's it called? Intellectual property, right? So intellectual property. So protect your intellectual property, even if you don't have the model yet. Get the patent, get the website, lock it in.
Well, and there's fortunes have been made over things that you don't even think about. I mean, the guy that came up with the zipper, my aunt and uncle are in Detroit, and their boating neighbor developed the 5 mile bumper, which is now on every single car. But he just was like, well, this, maybe if you could just bump into something and not ruin your car, it'd be great. But there's a lot of inventions, the way that certain things work, that these guys are just making mailbox money into perpetuity because they came up with this idea. So not everything has to be, Tesla and change the world. Some things are just like, make your life easier. If there's something that you do in your daily life that drives you nuts, that it works the way that it does, there might be an opportunity there to make that process better. And that's what people are willing to pay for.
Absolutely. Mr. Kessler, how can my audience connect with you? How can we grow with you? And how can we follow along in this journey with you?
If you want to watch $1 Million Caller, we're on all social media at $1 Million Caller. My LinkedIn is, I think, Rob Kessler. I am the third. So I think that's my LinkedIn. So if you want to do that, or I am happy to answer any questions, shoot me an email. I'm rob@milliondollarcaller.com.
So that's Rob at $1 Million Caller. And I'm going to put this in the show notes so everyone can have it. So shoot him an email, check him out, connect with him and grow with him so we don't miss out on this growing entrepreneur. He's probably that boating idea. You heard it live and direct. So that's the next big thing. He's going back to the boat. He's selling his boat and his boating company, and then he's going back to it. So there's a strategy here, y'all. Wink, wink, hint, hint. Mr. Kessler, I thank you, sir, for being on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I appreciate you giving back in this way. This is huge and phenomenal. And I appreciate you very, very much for supporting me in this. So this is huge. Any last tips, word of advice, nuggets, if you had one more golden nugget in the bag?
I'll always learn. I mean, I love listening to podcasts and reading books, and I can't read. The second I start reading my email, I'm like, I'm tired. But I do Audible whenever I'm doing other stuff. I've got something in my ears that's teaching me something, and sometimes I got to hear it 3 and 4 times. But I'm open to talk to anybody. I love being the dumbest guy in the room because I always learn from the people that are around me. So put yourself in the right situations and surround yourself with people that are where you want to be.
Amen. Love that. Mr. Keller, thank you so much for being on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And thank you, my audience, for tuning in to this incredible man. This is a phenomenal episode. Stay tuned, stay engaged. I hope this message has served you, and I hope it has made you better in some way, shape, or form. Stick with us, stay tuned as we proceed, and as we grow, we want to grow together. And like I always end every show, my audience, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and take care of business. This is Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show and Mr. Rob Kessler, the inventor of $1 Million Caller. Thank you guys. Love you. Bye.